You're listening to Rhonda Spaziani on Spaz on Health with greeninkradio.com.
Hello, this is Rhonda Spaziani on Spaz on Health on greeninkradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and read our blog at greeninkradio.wordpress.com. Today's episode is Irish Pubs and St. Patrick's Day. Who needs a beer? St. Patrick's Day is a global celebration of Irish culture celebrated on or around March 17th every year, which is supposedly the day of St. Patrick's death in the 5th century. And he is one of Ireland's patron saints. St. Patrick ministered Christianity in Ireland during the 5th century and supposedly rid them of snakes, which apparently Ireland never actually had due to the last ice age, which kept the island far too cold for snakes, and the surrounding seas prevented them from slithering home there. In this month's episode of Spaz on Health, I asked a variety of people from cool girls in the Harp Dragon bathroom in Norwich, Connecticut, to Judy and Robin, middle-aged women finishing their meal at the bar, to Gary, a happily married middle-aged Irish-American man who was enjoying a nice whiskey at the Dragon with his wife, who just happens to be me. I surprised him with the interview, by the way. To telephone calls to both Steve, who was born and raised in northern Belfast, and Kathleen, an Irish-American sociologist, to an in-person query of Amy, an Irish-American coworker. I asked all of them why they believed Irish pubs in St. Patrick's Day were so popular. Their answers, while varied, spoke to a recurrent theme of fun, belonging, acceptance, conviviality, joy, excused drunkenness, the quality of virtually no controversy around the holiday, making it fun to celebrate, to, of course, beer and more beer.
Okay, so my name is Kelly Spracklin, just moved to Connecticut.
The Sprack Attack.
Yes. I think Irish pubs are so popular because they're so much fun. The Irish know how to party.
Yes, we do.
And do you think that that's why they've stayed, like, they're the one pub in America that is, like, ethnic, that's still the most popular pub?
Yeah, I would say so. It's probably why, because they know how to party. It's fun.
And what about St. Patrick's Day? Why is that such a universally popular holiday?
People who aren't even Irish celebrate St. Patrick's Day. It's like a national drinking day.
It really is.
It really is. And people go all out for it, so.
We all like to have fun party. But yeah, you know, the ending result, we all like beer.
It's awesome. And what about St. Patty's Day? Why do you think St. Patrick's Day is so popular with everybody?
There we go again. We all like beer. So St. Patrick's Day is just pretty dope.
That's great.
Okay, so I come from Irish descent. Sarah McPherson.
So the first question is, why do you think Irish pubs are so popular in America or
They're
around the world?
so friendly and they're drunk, so everyone's friendly anyway. That's pretty much it.
And then what about St. Patrick's Day? Why is that so popular with, like, everyone?
Because short people can feel tall when they're drunk.
I love that.
Because it's fun and everybody's Irish. Everybody's Irish.
That's a day that everybody turns Irish, right?
Yeah. It's just fun, and people are so welcoming and happy and fun and nice, and you know, like when you come here. Have you been here St. Patrick's Day?
No, and at Harp Dragon?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun because everybody's welcoming.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Welcoming and fun and nice.
And why do you think Irish bars in particular throughout America are so popular more than any other kind of ethnic bar?
I don't know, there's something about, I mean, I'm Italian and I love coming to Irish bars.
Me too.
Because I just think it's welcoming.
warm and
people are
friendly
more open and
warm and friendly,
they're just more open.
Love that.
More and friendly. I don't know. Yeah.
Love that. Thank you. So, Gary, why do you think Irish bars are so popular?
Well, the Irish are the greatest people in the world. They enjoy life. They've been through so much. The turmoil they've lived through is really amazing. If you look through their history, they were tormented for the British for centuries, and they still have a smile on their face.
And that's why the Irish bars are so popular? Because
I think people gravitate to the Irish just for that pluck, that joie de vivre that they have, that they enjoy every moment of life because they've suffered so.
And why do you think St. Patrick's Day is so popular?
Well, I guess, according to my grandmother, St. Patty's Day wasn't really celebrated in Ireland when she was there, which was the early 1900s, because the British were still in charge, and they were trying to squash Irish nativism. So I think when the Irish came to America and they had the freedom to celebrate, they really embraced that. And they celebrate both the demise of English anarchy and the freedom of life here.
Why do you think we non-Irish people love St. Patty's Day so much?
Well, it's for the same reason. Because the Irish have that love of life, and I think everyone gravitates towards that.
Welcome. I want to introduce Steve Young, who's been so generous. He is a 30-year U.S. native, but originally from northern Belfast, Ireland. Why do you think Irish pubs are so popular worldwide?
Well, first and foremost, I don't really drink, so pubs are not something that I'm super familiar with, certainly in the U.S. But growing up in Ireland, I certainly had a lot of exposure to them. My parents and all of their friends were regular visitors to the pubs in Ireland. When I was growing up, my friends couldn't wait to turn 17 to get their driver's licenses and then 18 to be the legal drinking age. So I kind of felt at times like I was an observer sitting on the outside looking in. I mean, I certainly understand the appeal of going to the pub and the atmosphere, and generally the pubs are localized to the point where the people, the regulars who go there, all know each other. They've known, in a lot of cases, they've known each other since they were born. And so going to a centralized place where you could kind of let go of your inhibitions a bit, have a great time, drink. In later years, the TVs kind of came more into the picture, where you go there to watch football games or soccer games, or the going on right now are the rugby matches, the international rugby matches, and people would gather in the pubs and drink their Guinness and their beer, and just that's where they hung out.
So it was kind of like a community center with alcohol.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm not sure if it was quite the same in the rest of the UK, but in Northern Ireland, the drinking laws were a little different than the rest of the UK. Public bars, children underage children, even if you weren't drinking, were not allowed into what they called the bar itself. So the bars tended to be divided into two parts. There was the bar with the actual bar that you can sit up to and all the drinks arranged behind and the barman and that kind of thing. And then they had what they typically called a lounge bar. And what that was a separate area, and children were allowed in that area. So when we used to go to the pubs with our parents, we as the kids would be shuffled off into the lounge bar, and be a TV in there, and we could hang out and play and kind of cause a ruckus and stuff there. And the parents would then slip into the bar itself and to get away from the kids for a little while. And I think the conversation would be of a much more adult nature in there than it was in front of the children in the lounge bar. I don't think that's the way it is in English pubs or in the south of Ireland. I think kids are obviously they're not allowed to drink, but physically being in the bar I don't think was a problem.
So it was like a family event then. The children were there and the parents kind of went back and forth between the two sides. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the rationale was behind dividing the bars like that. If it was to keep children away from alcohol, we were pretty close, in very close proximity, so it's not quite sure what the point was, but that's the way it was set up.
Why do you think St. Patrick's Day is so popular?
My perspective on St. Patrick's Day may be a little different in that when I was growing up, the north of Ireland was very separated from the south of Ireland, and St. Patrick's Day was viewed as being a Catholic holiday, and in the north, anything Catholic was kind of, you didn't talk about it. And so when I was growing up, St. Patrick's Day was really a non-issue. As school kids, because St. Patrick was the patron saint of Ireland, we actually had the day off school, but it wasn't a public holiday as such. And the big event that happened in the north for us as school kids was the school's cup. Rugby finals were always played on St. Patrick's Day because we had the day off. So we would, as kids, we would go to the big rugby field in Belfast where the two top school teams from the entire country would play in the final. And that was a big event. And then after that, it was back to things fairly much as normal. It was really only when I came to the United States that I was surprised to find that St. Patrick's Day was such a big deal here, because it wasn't when I was growing up. It was a very, very much a non-event. My brother still lives back in Northern Ireland, in Belfast. According to him, it's changed a lot over the time I've been in the U.S., so that now I think St. Patrick's Day is just universally recognized as a day to celebrate, and if you have any Irish heritage at all, to kind of show that and celebrate it. So it has become a kind of an international holiday, and it is recognized and celebrated in Northern Ireland these days. On St. Patrick's Day here in the U.S., I mean, my experience, I think, is probably similar to everybody else's. That people wear green, which of course we never did in Ireland. Probably didn't need to show that we were Irish since we were in Ireland. But, yeah, just the big celebrations that go on. My wife is she loves to decorate for holidays, and any holidays is a great excuse for her to decorate the house. And so coming up to St. Patrick's Day, where the shamrocks appear, we've got a big shamrock flag that she flies on the flagpole outside the house. A lot of the greenery goes up around the house. And she's not Irish. She was born here in the U.S. Yeah, so I think these days I do celebrate St. Patrick's Day a lot more than I ever did when I was growing up in Ireland. The Irish have spread to so many parts of the world. It's a country with a very old heritage, and so I think people who have a connection to that, or in some way would like to have a connection to that, just gravitate towards that day. If you have any Irish connection, any Irish blood at all, it gives you this kind of commonality, this connection to other people that are similar. And I mean, even if you have no Irish connection at all, I think the meaning behind it, which is it's not controversial in any way. I mean, St. Patrick was not really a controversial saint. He didn't do things that people would be polarized by. So I think it's a very easy holiday for everybody to get behind and want to celebrate. And like I said, it's just if you have any claim to any Irish blood at all, that's the day when you flaunt that. And even if it is a couple of generations removed, all I can attribute it to is the fact that the Irish heritage is so old and runs so deep with a lot of people that it's something that they cling to. And St. Patrick's Day is a great focal point for them to let that out and let the world see that they're Irish, or they have some Irish connection, or their grandparents were Irish, or something. But it's a nice, easy, non-controversial international day that I think everybody can get behind without any problems.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I love that conclusion right there. So I'm talking with Amy, an Irish American, and I'm asking her why she thinks Irish pubs and St. Patrick's Day are so popular, both in America and worldwide.
I just think everybody is drawn to the positivity, the upbeat spirit, all the Irish blessings, the luck. I just think all of it.
Hi, Kathleen, who's an Irish American sociologist. Why do you think Irish pubs are so popular, not only in America, but really worldwide?
That's a good question. I think their reputation kind of precedes them. It's as if they're already a good time. Whether you even walked into one or not, whether anybody's there or not, they're a good time already. You don't have to wonder about it. Now, I've never been to Ireland to an actual Irish pub. My assumption is that Irish pubs in the U.S. are pretty far from what they are in Ireland. Probably ours are just a pale imitation. That's what my guess is. But I know people in the U.S. do love them, whether they're Irish or not. It feels like when they say Irish pub, it feels warm, it feels convivial, it feels lively. So yeah, a good time, automatic good time.
I've been to Ireland, and the pubs are kind of similar to our really good Irish pubs here. The pubs are really fun in Ireland too. They have that same kind of warm like our replica Irish pubs here. So they are similar, and they're wonderful.
Oh, how about that?
Why do you think St. Patrick's Day is so popular with so many people of all nationalities and religious persuasions and convictions?
When I think about St. Patrick's Day in the U.S., I'm not seeing much Irishness going on. Like, where's the cultural heritage beyond drinking and maybe some corned beef with cabbage? So there's this huge Irish population in the U.S. that came over, as a mass of immigrants and was at first really isolated and looked down upon, and then worked their way into acceptance in U.S. culture. Not only a large portion of some population, especially in New England and certain cities in New England, but also, I think, kind of vociferous. Maybe it's just the loudest group wins the best party. I don't wear green on St. Patrick's Day. I refuse.
Do you get pinched?
No, nobody better ever pinch me. I've never heard of that. What is
something you do about? I think that did originate in Ireland. Is that you do it to keep the leprechauns away? So, according to James Owens of National Geographic, St. Patrick's revelers thought wearing green made one invisible to leprechauns. Just a note, who are fairy creatures that pinch anyone they could see who isn't wearing green. People began pinching those who didn't wear green as a reminder that leprechauns would sneak up and pinch green abstainers. So either way, you're getting a pinch if you don't wear green. Mike Cronin, the professor at Boston College and St. Patrick's aficionado, has all kinds of cool details in his Time article on how America invented St. Patrick's Day, which I didn't know anything about. Weirdly, America started the jubilant holiday that we are all so familiar with today. The American celebratory model then spread back to Ireland. And did you know that in Ireland, the holiday was mostly religious well into the 20th century? The bars used to even be closed for the holiday throughout the 50s and didn't open on St. Patty's Day until the mid-60s.
I figure if I don't look Irish, then I have no business pretending to be Irish or whatever. I mean, if you can't tell I'm Irish by looking at me, then I'm not Irish enough. And everybody's wearing green. People who aren't even Irish. So what am I going to wear it for?
Are Irish people known to be stubborn?
Yeah. And they get their dander up pretty quickly and easily, kind of thing. But seriously, the where's the culture in it? Like you said, corned beef isn't even Irish. So what's the culture? Wearing green? Like, green is associated with Ireland, but how is that that and drinking alcohol is the only thing that sticks, the only thing that stands out as an Irish thing? Yeah, I just think it's more about, it's a condoned drinking day more than, and a sort of license to act outrageous that makes it popular. And I have nothing against acting outrageous, having a good time and all that, but I don't think that's uniquely Irish or necessarily the kind of thing that we want to stand out as being Irish.
St. Patrick's Day, as we know it, actually originated in Boston on March 17, 1737, when a group of rich Irishmen had a celebratory dinner in recognition of the great saint. And then the New York Irish Catholics brought it up a notch with a fife and drum parade in 1766. After the Civil War here in America, it really took off as the inpouring of Irish immigrants flocked to America. They wanted to elevate their image and show their community and civic pride. Their speeches were often about their local communities, their proud Irish Catholicism, and their patron saint, Patrick. But they were also political, hoping for an independent Ireland and embracing the liberties of their new country afforded them. So why is St. Patrick's Day so popular, you ask? One reason is marketing. You can thank Guinness, retailers selling cards, T-shirts, flags, and decorations of all other kinds. These have helped sell the event worldwide, as well as every Irish pub across the country and the world. It's to their advantage to promote St. Patrick's Day. However, as a therapist, I was interested in why it was so popular. And I believe from my interviews that it's also about the connections and acceptance that both Irish pubs and St. Patrick's that appeals to everyone. We need to belong and to bond, evolutionarily to remain with the pack to survive. If we stray off, we get eaten, or we starve because we can't kill things on our own. Connectivity is as adaptive as hunger or thirst. We need to connect to survive, truly. And they have found that loneliness actually kills. It's as toxic as being obese or smoking. And what better way to connect and have a grand old time than in a nice Irish pub? Irish pubs are warm and inviting, usually with a hometown community feel. I love them, don't you? The other reason why St. Patrick's Day is so popular is that it is speculated that it is our true national immigrant day, that we are all hybrids here, and therefore all a little Irish on St. Patrick's Day. One juicy little tidbit I learned is that St. Patrick himself wasn't actually Irish. He was a captured slave from Britain and went back as a missionary. So he is actually the original immigrant that wasn't really Irish, acting Irish. St. Patrick's Day is the true democratic holiday. It represents that we are all hybrids. It is the great equalizer. Wear green, swill a beer or whiskey, and belong as everyone's Irish on St. Patrick's Day, even St. Patrick. Oh, and don't forget to wear something green on March 17th, or you're going to get a big fat pinch.
Thanks for listening to Rhonda on Spaz on Health. Tune into greeninkradio.com to rock your best life.